Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you joining us from across the world. On behalf of DoctorsAI, I'm delighted to welcome you to the new season of MedAI Web Hour, a space where clinicians, researchers, and technologists come together to ask not just what AI can do, but also to understand what it should do in healthcare. As medicine enters the era of large language models, automation, and decision support, one question stands at the center of it all. Like, how do we ensure that AI remains clinically meaningful, trustworthy, and deeply human? So, today's opening session sets the tone for the entire season. We will explore clinician-led validation of medical AI and also hear the human voice behind AI adoption, its expectations, fear, and the real-world impact. We are privileged to have with us two distinguished speakers who bring complementary perspectives from rigorous clinical evaluation to lived experience in healthcare and AI implementation. So I thank our speakers to be here, to have taken time out. And before we begin, I, of course, would like to thank our chair, Dr. Amit Kumar Dey, sir, and extend a warm welcome to you and to our global audience. Over to you, Dr. Amit, sir.
Hi, everyone. A warm welcome to the new year, to 2026. Thank you very much, Aishwarya, Hartley, for once again bringing back live the MedAI Web Hour of DoctorsAI. I think last year it's been fascinating. We discussed so many topics with so many speakers. We learned a lot of new subspecialty domain exploring AI in the field of medicine through various speakers. And I'm sure this year also we're going to be back with every month with one episode where we will bring in more contextualized, more domain specific, and more newer understanding of AI as we head into 2026. A warm welcome to all our community members, our Doctors AI community members, our members of the Indian College of AI in Medicine. A big thank you to all of you for actually believing and entrusting your faith in what initiative we had started 2 years back. The focus with AI, with the doctors, for the doctors, building and co-building with the medical professionals, learning together. And I think it's been a fantastic journey going forward. We culminated 2025 beautifully with the Doctors AI Global Summit. And I think all of you who are a part of our community had been an opportunity of being a part of this event. And I think we are all grateful to all of you for the support that you bring in and the insights that you all bring in. And I believe beyond all the fields of medicine, this is one field where we are learning together. Whether we are a medical student, whether we are a postgraduate student, whether we are a senior clinician or an early career physician, we are all hand-holding each other and learning this new technology, which we believe very positively that it's going to transform the way we practice medicine. So on that note, dear friends, when we started 2024, 2025, we said that doctors should learn artificial intelligence. We should get literate. Then we started saying we should start researching with it. We should start researching on it. And I'm so very happy and so very proud that today we can say we should start evaluating it. We should start validating language models. And I think we are evolving. We are evolving as a community. We are evolving as, I would say, even as mankind evolves with AI, we are evolving as the doctors community. And this is good progress, dear friends. So I'm very happy. I'm very excited that a fantastic initiative has started in the country, led by Ashoka University, the Indian, the ICMR, and the WHO Southeast Asia region. Together, they have started the Move Validathon, where they're involving members across medical fraternity in different parts of the country to participate in evaluation and validation of a large language model, a medical language model. I think that's a fantastic initiative. As a community, Doctors AI is proud to be associated with this initiative, and we're very excited that some of our members who are watching this, who are part of our activities, will be participating in the upcoming Move Validathon events happening in Bangalore and Hyderabad going forward. We are also very happy to have Annie join in as a speaker. She's the founder of Light, and will be telling you about how doctors can validate language models going forward. So I think this is a very good start to 2026. On the other hand, as we keep on saying that artificial intelligence has to be patient centric. It's at the end of the day, it's for the patients. It's not for us. It's not for the institutes. It's not for the doctors. It's mostly for the patient. So where is the patient voice? Where is the human voice behind the scene? We have Mr. Bharat Gera joining us. He's been leading the technology community from the front, and I'm very excited that he could spare some time with us today, giving that context to the Doctors AI community. So big welcome to both our speakers, and I can see Annie's live back on screen amidst the Jaipur traffic, and Mr. Bharat Gera joins us from Bangalore. So I would now hand it back quietly to Aishwarya to take the session forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So I think we should start our session. For the first session, we have Professor Dr. Marianne Hartley, and she'll be talking about clinician-led AI, how doctors should validate and trust medical LLMs. To introduce Dr. Annie, so introducing Marianne Hartley, she is a professor, MD, PhD, MPH from South Africa. Professor Marianne Annie Hartley leads the Laboratory for Intelligent Global Health and Humanitarian Response Technologies, also called as LIGHT. It is an international research group based jointly in US at Ariane Labs and Switzerland at EPFL and Rwanda at the Carnegie Mellon University, Africa. Her team works with NGOs and humanitarian response organizations like Doctors Without Borders and the International Committee of the Red Cross to develop implementable AI-powered technology that improves the healthcare in resource-limited settings and underrepresented populations. In the free time, she's also a passionate lover of street dogs and a medical doctor, and continues to work clinically in the volunteer capacity in her home country of South Africa. I welcome you, Dr. Annie Hartley, and over to you to take up the session.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Waisha. Thank you, Dr. Amit, for inviting me, and it's so wonderful to be in the presence of such another great speaker. So I'm excited to I'll be quicker than you, just so that I can hear your presentation as well. So thank you. Yes, I'm a passionate lover of street dogs, and in Jaipur there were quite a few, which was causing quite a lot of traffic on the way here. So a few seconds ago, I was running across a road to get into the hotel because there was so much traffic. I'm going to share my screen now. I'm so excited that this topic is being covered because it's something that as a doctor, for me, I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. I'll just quickly do it again. As a doctor, I really am passionate about trusting the technology that we are using. And I think it's absolutely essential that we calibrate, and this is the subtopic of what we are doing. We calibrate our trust with evidence. And we calibrate our trust in these tools, not just with evidence, but with experience, and also with the ownership of the tools that we are using. Just throughout this, please let me know if my signal is to change the signal. So please don't hesitate. But yeah, so this is the topic that we are going to be discussing today. And as you heard before, I'm at LIGHT, which is this Laboratory for Intelligent Global Health and Humanitarian Response Technologies. And we're really trying to make AI tools that we can trust in low resource settings. And this is difficult because we are working in very resource constrained environments that make tools maybe unreliable and less robust. And this is an important concept in low resource settings. And it actually means that we have to do special things to the AI tools. We have to make sure that we are able to compensate for that volatility in our settings, the settings that we are working in as a South African. We have also these volatile settings, and we have to design AI differently. We have to build it with the clinicians that are using it, because they are the only people that have that jagad, you know, that getting things done in a creative way that that we need in working in low resource. Sure, of course. So I've just been really honored to work with ICMR and Ashoka to really understand the Indian context and all of the similarities with the context that we are working with, and really understanding how we can adapt these tools to our setting. So this is the initiative that we are launching with DoctorsAI, actually, as well as a community partner. And this isn't just a presentation that I'm giving today, it's really an invitation. And I hope that you see it like this as well, where it's an invitation to participate in building these tools together and to actively build them and deliver the clinical care that we think. And I'm actually going to change my microphone. I think you will prefer this microphone. Just let me know. I think it's a little bit better. So this is an initiative called Move, where we are actually launching this across India. And DoctorsAI is a community partner. And we want to actually invite you to participate in this. And we are going to be holding events throughout the year and actually beyond. And we are actively inviting you to participate. There are opportunities for you to not only move chatbots and AI tools into a new setting and to learn new skills, delivering clinically validated AI adapted to the Indian setting. So what I want to say here is that, you know, we are excited. I said we have to calibrate our excitement with evidence, but we are excited about AI tools. That's why everyone is here today. And we're excited about it because they deliver information. It is by far, as a doctor, we know, the most important thing that you can give a patient. The most important and valuable thing is information, because you can have as many resources, as many expensive drugs, as many expensive tools as you want. But if you don't have like the knowledge of when to use them, how to use them, and why, it's absolutely useless. Information is the most valuable thing that we can give. And these chatbots, well, that's what they are doing. They're giving mostly right information. And what's more important, it's not the information that we are giving our patients. It's the information that is accessible. It's the right information, mostly right, at the right place and in the right time. And that kind of information is the pinnacle. Imagine if all our patients had the correct information about when to come to the doctor and seek care appropriately. And this access is so tangible, but we have to make sure that it is adapted for our settings. We have to make sure that it understands our languages, it understands our epidemiologies, and that we validate it like any other clinical tool. And this validation is something that's really important. You know, when I think about this, like when ChatGPT recently changed from 4, version 4, and those of you who use it all the time would know it recently changed from 4 to 5, and then 5 to 5.1, and then 5. They didn't contact any of us to find out if we were ready for that change. They didn't tell us what they changed. We don't know if they have some, you know, let's say, agreement with a pharmaceutical company that maybe is saying, well, every time you say this drug, say this kind of brand, or every time there's this kind of diagnosis, recommend my drug. We don't know what has changed. And it's about this control that we are losing. And that validity is something that we really need to appreciate. And control is ownership. And ownership is also so important about we are using these tools every day. And when I give surveys to people, I actually see that over, I would say over 70% for all doctors use it every single day in the clinic. We don't have the choice
to deploy these tools. These tools are already being deployed. It's up to us to make sure that they're being deployed in a way that people understand and that they're vigilant about. So what we do, right, is we are kind of involved in this cycle. It's something that I'm always putting up to show kind of the need for this continuous learning. And we must remember, before AI came along, we were calling it, you know, the term, right? We were calling AI machine learning, which it is, right? It's about a continuously learning algorithm, one that doesn't have to be specifically programmed to learn new things. And here we must understand that these tools have the capacity to be learned, from us. And for the first time, they speak our language. We can actually tell them instructions. We can tell them how to behave. And we hope that they respond, and they can be nudged, they can be moved. And that is what this movement is about that we're getting, is that we are trying to get you as experts to speak with these chatbots, criticize them, and nudge them to better behavior. We start with collecting data, which is scarce in our limited resource settings, and we make sure that we represent our patients as they should be. We then ethically manage that data to make sure that we don't have to send it to some cloud that's in Texas or something, you know, in some company that keeps sort of our patient data. We want it to be locally owned wherever it is. This is not a commercial initiative. We are academics. This is a public good. Information should be accessible. It is a human right, especially when it comes to health information. It is the biggest determinant of health, in my opinion, at least, and I'm sure many of you agree. Information is a public good, and we should understand that these AI models that we are making with this information, they should be accessible. They should be locally owned, and we should own them and control them in the medical community, just as we own and control the ability to become a doctor. That license that we have is something that we protect with validity and with exams and with oversight. And this is what we should do with the information that is coming out of these tools. We then put those into apps, and you'll see the app of the Move platform that we are using, so that you can actually access and criticize the tools, so we can learn from that feedback and actually give you better models with that feedback that we are learning. This is what the Move is doing. And we are offering you an opportunity to criticize a range of models, find out which models are best for you in a scientific way, get evidence for which ones work, and then also improve the models with your feedback. We make sure that it's scalable. We make sure that it's actually implementable. And we ensure that it's provably impactful, because we are also running clinical trials. We're using science to ensure that we are deploying these tools with at least vigilance of how they work. So we want this collaborative to work, and we do this through openness, through neutrality, through using our academic and research initiatives to ensure that we are not making profit from maybe one group over another. We make sure we are agnostic to where the data is coming from, where the geography is, which use case, if it's gynecology or obstetrics. And this neutrality and academic focus and centrality is really important. It is a guiding principle of being a doctor, is to not have that bias when it comes to making decisions. And our technology should be no different. This is trust. Trust is not having an ulterior motive. And I think that we need to know that our tools don't have that ulterior motive. I'll be just giving you an example of two of the, like a model that we are making, which is Meditron. It's an open model. We are not selling this or anything like this, of course not. And it's just a suite of open models. So we call it Meditron because we have to call it a name. But when we are making a new model for you, you could imagine a DoctorsAI model, right? And these are really expensive things to make. And we want to make one for communities that want to give back. And basically, this is an open LLM that could be Meditron, open DoctorsAI, for example. And we can make ones that are like Meditron India, Meditron Rajasthan, where I am now. And we can make all of these models that can be validated and used and owned by the local community. And this platform, and I'll just say the word again so that you remember it, it's a model moving platform. We are moving models to contextualize them to be closer to the setting that they are working with. And it's called the Massive Open Online Validation and Evaluation Platform. It's to collaboratively co-develop AI models with expert feedback. And this is why we are here with DoctorsAI, because you are the experts from which we want to seek this information. So let's start with Meditron quickly, just to tell you like how we're approaching this. And what's important about Meditron, and what I'd like you to leave this session with today, is the importance of openness. And these open large language models, or LLMs, right, are things which are chatbots, right? So language models and LLMs are the same. These open models, right? You might have heard some of them: Llama, DeepSeek, Gemma from Google, Mistral is one in France. This is a Quen. We have quite a few others that are open, that are released to the public. But what does that mean? Actually, the only things that these are open about, right, are something called weights. And this means just numbers, right, rather than the actual data that they trained on. So some models are more open than others, and these are not releasing the data they've trained on. We don't know if they've trained on 15% Hindi. It probably very much isn't. Which languages have they trained on? Do they have your guidelines inside there? We simply don't know, because they don't release the data they've trained on, because they've probably trained on some naughty data that is copyright, data that can't be used. And so what we've been doing in Switzerland, in one of our affiliations, is making something called fully open models. Models that, like apertus, it's the Latin for open, right? That are actually open all the way from the data that they trained on, so we know what data they've been trained on, and we make sure that we respect the copyright regulations. This is a huge initiative between ETH Zurich and EPFL. I only played a very small role in it because it's such a big initiative. It's such an expensive and massive scale technique to get this right. And what we do is we use these open models, right, that are much more representative. They're multilingual with over 1,000 languages, and we use this as a base to improve them. Now, remember, these models are at a disadvantage. They're much smaller. They don't have, maybe this one especially doesn't have this like copyright information, because it's genuinely open. And so what we have to do is we have to compensate and make sure that we've got the highest quality information inside. So what we do is we take these open models, right, open weights or fully open, and we add medical data. And here you can already see that this word over here, expert curated, means that there's an opening for you and your community to curate really fantastic open data that represents your setting, maybe your guidelines, high quality information that we can make and use of to make a model that is representing your setting. And we could base it on anything. We could have an apertus base or a DeepSeek base, and then improve it with your medically expert curated data. That's one place that you can do this, right? This we medicalize these open LLMs. This is what this is about, right? And that's the first step. And we can make it in a whole lot of different shapes and sizes. For those who are more interested in AI, you will know that there's reasoning models that speak multiple languages, voice to voice, where you can speak to them. And we can even do multimodal language models, which is where you can put in images, right? And not just text. So this is quite interesting, but we can also make them in different shapes and sizes, and ones that can fit on your phone. So really for like offline use in rural and remote settings, as well as bigger ones that perhaps need a computer or a desktop or maybe a small server. So now that we know that we can make these, we want to be able to move them or nudge them with that cream of the crop information that comes from the best doctors who are most certainly on this call, right? And this is what we want to do. We want to have continuous expert feedback to make this continuous learning framework and validate and improve LLMs with your feedback without needing to retrain the entire model. We want to nudge these models. We want to move them. And this is what we are inviting you today to do. Massive open online validation and evaluation. It is an open platform, right? It's not really open to everyone, right? It's only open to experts. We don't have some random teenager in, I don't know, Iowa or something telling us about how we should dose insulin or something. Obviously, we are only interested in expert evaluation. And this is what we are doing with the move, where we've made the model and now we can continuously collect data and fulfill this continuous learning platform. So in these last slides, I just want to show you what we have to do here and remind you why. We must remember that in Africa, that's where I'm most comfortable but also in places in data just isn't digitized and not represented in global data sets of the world. Even in PubMed, continent, can you imagine it's 3%? If models, AI impressed data, it means that if we have imperfect data that can't be digitized, then we will just simply have imperfect models. And we can't wait for this to be digitized. It's an impossible amount of time to wait. It's just ridiculous. So we do have to actually work with imperfect models. This is what we have. And so we have to accept that even if we train on imperfect data, we will have it. We try to make it as good as possible, and we try to make it as perfect as possible. And then we adapt it through use, right? So we make an adapted foundation model by nudging it in the direction that we think is most valuable. So again, we're using all of the guidelines that you can curate, and this is a way that you can participate to give us good guidelines. And then we can make a model that you can then nudge through continuous feedback, critical feedback. Think about trying to break the model, asking questions that you know it's going to get wrong. And we can contextualize it to various settings, including making a model for India. So this is the move. We will ask you then to gather your colleagues in networks like this, ask these models questions that are related to your context, and rate and correct the responses. I'm happy to even show you the platform. It's a very simple platform that looks a little bit like any of the model platforms that you are using, and it allows us to critically evaluate them, but go deeper so that we can evaluate not just which one is better, but why it's better, correct them, make sure that you are using your expertise, ask questions that actually cover your topic. And to be very tangible, you could be the person who gathers a subcategory of colleagues in your specialty. You could be the person to organize what questions need to be asked to make sure that we are representing your specialty in this topic. Maybe your specialty and your geography. Maybe you are a gynecologist in Jaipur and you want to make sure that the Rajasthani regulations and guidelines are being followed in gynecology. This is the kind of gathering of colleagues that we need so that you can ask these questions and make sure that we are getting this rich data set that we can evaluate models on. You get benefits from this really directly, but also, of course, the ultimate goal is to make this chatbot for our setting, which we will do within the next year. The activities are kicking off soon, and DoctorsAI is a founding community partner. We'd love to have basically events with you and for you to be interested and to launch your own events. The data that comes out of this is interesting. We can co-author publications based on the results. We can get certifications for you as AI expertise for evaluation, for example. And there's opportunities for you to have international and national recognition in the clinical AI expert committees that we are developing. So it's about values at the end of the day. When we want to calibrate our trust with evidence, it's about making sure that the models that we are using, we own, and we know how they work. It's about vigilance, and it's about community vigilance. It's about making sure that we have an alignment with our own goals. It's also about making sure that you are co-creating them and that you can feel that you don't need to be an AI expert to control and to build these tools yourself. It's about expert validation. And it's making sure that we're holding these models accountable and making them transparent with public oversight. Information is a public good, and medical information is a public right. We need to make sure that we are good custodians of this continuously changing information and to make sure that it's a dynamic and updatable system that is adapted with our setting, making representative evaluation meaningful and not just an end publication, but an actual tool that we can use in our daily practice. So with that, we are inviting you to this initiative that's already hosted in over 11 countries. We have thousands of experts across the world. We have over, well, actually many more than that now, expert evaluations. And we're holding even clinical trials to not just ask questions to the models, but actually to see how they are working in practice in several countries across the world. And here we are aiming to make this national scale rollout, we hope, with the community, really a grassroots initiative, using doctors' interest, natural interest, to make sure that we are providing them with a platform that can deliver on their needs. So I don't want to go further than that because I'm just about reaching my the end, but I've got some interesting information from doctors that I did a little survey of the other day. So I just give you two little pieces of quick information. We, in one of our validatathons, which are these marathons of validation that we do the other day, we had a very interesting result where we saw that doctors actually have a very high trust of models. So 75% are moderate to high trust. I'd love to know what the DoctorsAI group, this is the Delhi doctors here, think about AI tools. And what's interesting is that they may trust it, but we dug in deeper. We did another survey, and we saw that they actually trust it as much as a doctor with about less than 1 year or two, or between 1 and 5 years of experience. And I'm very curious if there's anyone if you could maybe put into the Zoom chat if you agree with that or not. How much does that resonate with you as the DoctorsAI? How much do you trust it? Do you trust it not at all, as much more than yourself, as more as a colleague? I'd love to hear if you can put that into the chat to see if we are getting the right information that's representative of everyone else. How does it change? And how often they use it? Well, 60% of the doctors in Delhi that came to our last validatathon use it at least sometimes or often. And I'd love to hear also what you think about these results. The vast majority, of course, we are biased here. I think most people in DoctorsAI probably believe that there's a potential for AI to be mostly beneficial. Some people were neutral, but very few people, actually no people, thought AI could be harmful. I'm interested to see if there are more views online, and I'd also like you to comment on this if you remember to. Finally, I would say that people really, really feel that there's a need for open models. How much do you trust open models versus closed models? Well, about 2/3 of people trust it about as much, which is pretty good. So they feel that there's a value in open models, even though they're smaller, and actually trust commercial models like ChatGPT much less than open models, because there's a bias and or at least a concern of bias that happens when you are a profit-based company. I'd love to hear from you as well on that. Yes, and I'll stop here and let you absorb that by yourself to see if doctors think that AI should be regulated, and many of them do think that indeed. So I'll stop here. And I'm very curious about the feeling in the webinar, and looking forward to reading some of your thoughts. And thank you again for the opportunity to invite your community to this initiative. And we're looking forward to working with you and to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Annie, for such a wonderful talk, and also for giving us a little something to think about further. I would really like to inform our audience and all our ICAIM members that we have already rolled out the emails for registration links and details about the upcoming MOVE events. So kindly check that so that you are updated. We have a couple of audience questions coming in. So firstly, I would like to quickly ask you this one question that I had during your talk was, when we are validating a medical, let's say, app, what one minimum clinician validated step would you insist on before deployment? Is it like a prospective testing that's important, external data validation sets, which will help with the generalizing of the app, or the real world clinician feedback? Like, which one step is like the crucial one and needs to be validated before we release the app?
So this is such an important question, and the thing is that the question reveals something that is really important. We don't have a choice of whether it is revealed and released. We don't have a choice. It's out there already. Over 70% of clinicians are using it every day in their practice. This is a false choice. We don't have it. It's there. So the question rather becomes, what can we do as soon as possible? And what are the steps to get the best possible evidence very quickly, as well as maintain a high quality of evidence as we go along. And so what we are doing, the quickest thing that we can do, and we can do it today. If you came to, if you gathered a group of clinicians right now, came into this room, we could run a validator-thon by posing hypothetical questions that are realistic in our setting. So it's no data privacy or anything like that. There's no ethical constraints, but we can pose questions that we think are important and that cover our topic. And that's the first phase of the move, which is a hypothetical scenario testing. So it's not the highest quality information. We want to represent reality, but at least it's representing something that we believe is reality and it's contextualized to us. So I think the first information is how quickly we can get evidence, and that's the quickest way. And then our next step, so it's a hypothetical move, and then we go to prospective, as you said before, prospective data collection in what we call silent trials, where we don't influence the care of the patient with the model, but we basically collect data and we see what happens to patients in routine care. And then we give that real data. It can be also collected retrospectively, but it's from the reality. And then we give that to models and we ask the model, what would you have done? It's called counterfactual testing or a silent trial. And this is something that is very helpful. But then finally, which takes much longer, we are building up to now, we are running 5 clinical trials, which are randomized control trials for the highest level of evidence. And we shouldn't be satisfied with any of the others. And we should make sure that we build up to that. So we do a hypothetical, we go, ooh, these models are the best. We're going to advance them to the silent trial. Those models are the best. We're going to advance them to the next trial. And so it's as quick as possible. And this is why we are launching this now and need your help.
Understood.
First of all, Annie, I just want to congratulate you for just setting the context. Even a year back when we were talking with my clinician friends, and once they start understanding this technology and they start getting rolled in, the question that comes to everybody's mind is, what next? How do I become a part of this? I mean, this is the way you become a part of it. That's amazing.
Yes.
And while you were speaking, actually, the only thing that was running on my mind is, hey, why did not anybody else think of this before? But it's better late than never. I mean, congratulations for bringing this up, and we are very happy to be a part of this initiative that you're taking. And I think this is the perfect step of responsible AI. When we talk about responsible AI, when we talk about trustworthy AI, safe AI, I think this is the right way of going towards it. And maybe when we talk about open language models, and I quite like in the way context you put it, I think that would be a first step towards using AI towards more equitable healthcare distribution. Understanding from where you come from, I really extend wholehearted support of the DoctorsAI community to the initiatives that you're taking. I just have one quick question to you, in the sense that there'll be a lot of doctors who are watching this and they will be attending your event. So how do you want them to be prepared? Like, what are they going to be expecting? You can give them some, something to start off before some teaser before they end up in Bangalore and Hyderabad. That might just excite them.
Yes, so we do want to give value to our doctors that are attending these events. This is about community, it's about collaborating together, but it's also about respecting your time and your expertise. We are all doctors that are running this, right? And I'm also a professor of AI, but I'm a doctor, right? And we know how difficult it is to spend time on these kinds of things. So what you will expect during the day is that we are concentrating the moment that you are sitting in front of your computer in an afternoon, and you will be asking questions to different models and seeing their response and evaluating them. But in the morning, what you're going to be doing to build up to this, to the main event of the participatory workshop, you're going to be learning about how AI works and where you can intervene. It's a very practical workshop. When you come to these events, they are going to be participatory workshops. You can expect to speak with your colleagues. You can expect to ask questions, and you can expect to know very practical, actionable ways to build AI models together as a community. And these are massive, multi-million-dollar models, and you can access them and tangibly to make sure that you can actually build them yourself. So in the morning, very practically, we start with a little course. I take you through the steps of building a model and the steps where you can intervene and how you can intervene at each point to actually participate in building these tools. And finally, the last steps of this tool building we make it very tangible for you to, and right there that afternoon, to build models with the move. And we have an interactive workshop. Today it was so fun. We were in Jaipur and we brought our doctors together and we let them, there was a group asking very controversial questions. What are questions that you think models will never know in an Indian context? And we had questions of like patients coming to ask for skin lightening products that, you know, my daughter-in-law, she's getting married in a month and she wants to lighten her skin quickly. What can I give? And all of these controversial topics that we think that AI models might get wrong in certain settings. And we got some interesting results from the different models that didn't know how to address these taboo questions that were specific to our setting. And then we had a whole lot of others that were doing like from a patient perspective and others representing their own specialty and guidelines. And then they basically were evaluating these tools on a platform and looking at different models. You don't know which models you are evaluating. So one could be ChatGPT, one could be Meditron, one could be DeepSeek, one could be Llama, whatever else. And you have to evaluate them. At the end of the day, you get some nice swag, and we do have some prizes. But of course, we are like, you know, it's an academic initiative. So you're not going to get like a paid holiday to the Caribbean or something. But you will get a very nice mug and a badge, you know. But and you'll have a great time. I think people have given us an overwhelming feedback of the fun that they've had, and they leave understanding how these tools work and a vigilance of which models work best, and a surprise about how good open models are compared to these massive multi-billion-dollar companies, and how tangible it is to actually own and validate your models in your own context. So I really, we've gotten, it's such a natural thing. We don't, people come because they want to come, and they keep coming. And we've been doing this across Africa, in Europe, elsewhere, and we're so excited to bring it to India because it's such an important context to represent. So I think that's what they can expect, and I hope that they can expect something tangible. If you get about 300 questions fully validated, that's almost enough to make a meaningful difference in a large scale model. It's very tangible. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think that really just gets everybody excited. But thank you so much, Annie. Thank you so much, Aishwarya. Take this forward, and maybe Annie, you can hang back a little bit. We have some more questions. If you have some time, stay back. We can take some more discussions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Annie. We'll move ahead at the session with another interesting topic of AI in healthcare, the human voice, expectations, fears, and what works. We have Mr. Bharat Gera with us to lead the session. He is the founder of he's the founder of the human-centric health ecosystem, driving the design and implementation of human-first technology-enabled healthcare solutions across India. He has extensive experience in conceptualizing the scaling digital health IT, and medtech initiatives that bridge the clinical care technology and the patient experience. He actively mentors and advises the healthcare and health tech startups. Mr. Bharat Gera, welcome to DoctorsAI Med Webhour. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Dr. Annie is going to be quite a challenge. I don't think I have any, the kind of expertise she brings to the table. But I'm going to try and bring a little human perspective. So I'll just bring up a couple of slides to sort of present my point of view on it. It's going to be a little different perspective, more from the actual users, the patients and their families. I'll skip this part here, but basically we are HCHE, we are on a mission to create a human-centric healthcare ecosystem. We try to bring in technology and the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain, as you can see there. I'll skip this one. I'll kind of, before I go into this slide, I think the important thing really is that we are having in India at this point an emerging digital health ecosystem, and it's kind of creating a platform with the digital public goods infrastructure, the entire ABDM movement and the interoperability. And I think that's going to shape AI in a very different way from other parts of the world. And what the Indian conception of patient-controlled health record and consent-driven architecture and the extent of interoperability we're talking about is going to be very much ahead of a lot of the countries out there. And it's going to create very fertile ground to bring in AI technologies. But before I go into the other slides, I thought let me just talk a little bit about a few things. So let me just stop the share for now. Yeah. So it's quite opportune that about 2 years back, I was giving a talk at Baby Memorial Hospital, and ChatGPT had just been launched. And I'd put forward my presentation saying, "Are you ready for Dr. ChatGPT?" And at that time, my co-panelist was, somebody who was a diabetic patient, and he was advised by the doctor to consider GLP drugs as early as that. It was quite surprised actually that he was asked to consider GLP drugs, and his HB1AC level was about 6.1. And I put that question as a prompt to ChatGPT, and I said, "Do you think it's a good idea for this patient to be taking GLP drugs for his diabetes?" And the answer was, "I'm not a medical doctor. I can't advise you on what to do, but here is what GLP drugs can be used for." And I found it phenomenal that even the early days of ChatGPT, it could give a meaningful response. And it could explain the drug, and it could explain what it is all about. And I think that wave has come to another level today. I think just now we've seen the launch of ChatGPT Health, where we are, from the stats that I've got to see, 5% of global messages, which is billions of messages weekly on ChatGPT, are about health. There are 40 million daily users engaging with ChatGPT on health questions, and with 1 in 4 weekly active users across the world. 60% of the people are using in the last 3 months. So when the patient who comes to you, doctors, is using some kind of AI, largely one of the commercial models and not the specialized models that Annie just spoke about, you as doctors are going to be, the relationship and the expectations from you are going to change in some ways. They're going to, I'm sure all of you are experiencing that a lot of patients today are going to such tools and coming up with what is education for them, and then asking you questions related to it. So the pressure in a way is on the doctors to be able to use AI that is more powerful than the commercial AI out there. And I'm glad that Annie and her team and Dr. Sharankar and team are working with you all on making that happen. And I think the whole relationship between clinicians and their teams, I think the human side of it is not just the patient side. I think it's also the entire team that works. I noticed in the survey there was a question about, how much do you think this AI agent does better than a doctor with 1 year experience, and does it do better than my colleague, and does it do better than me? I was laughing at when it said 0.3% believe that it does better than me. None of us believe that anything does better than us, isn't it? So I think in this also there would be a human side of it, that how does it change the relationship between clinical teams? Would it essentially mean de-skilling in some ways? would it mean more empowerment of certain people? For example, I often wonder, would the nursing team rely less on the resident doctor who's looking after the ward? Would she be more capable of handling things on her own? Would she be able to be more capable of critical reasoning? I think the structure and the way the teams work will also be impacted with AI to quite an extent. I mean, currently we look at nurses using news scores. What if they're getting even more accurate advice from AI? Would they be authorized to use that to do an intervention which is nursing care plan led? I think there would be a lot of changes in balances of relationships. And in these, also the main thing that's also the other side is the patient side. So the patient is going to come to the doctor. So, the stats that I've been shared in many of the conferences globally is that patients are still coming to clinicians and they're not using AI agents to actually decide on the treatment or the diagnosis. And a lot of times, for example, I won't name the company, but there's a very well-known imaging company which is launched an AI-based diagnostic center. And patients get diagnosed with cancer there. And after that diagnosis, they're not convinced. They have this need to still go to a clinician and get the validation done. And that's where I think the use of tools that are more better than what the commercial models offer and more validated by clinicians will help tremendously in dealing with such situations, because some of these tools are creating a lot of fear in the minds of patients. I will also share with you 3 personal experiences on how AI helped in a situation of personal situation. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the relevant slides. Yeah. So I'm just going to take you through some 3 use cases, 3 case studies, or you can call them stories, user stories, really. I'm just going to take you through this. One was a brain stroke of a family member, and ChatGPT was able to explain the impact of the stroke and the likely course of treatment. This helped tremendously, and I think as clinicians, so I was just speaking about these 3 real life stories which I've experienced, and how as a patient's family member, the use of AI was, very reassuring. It didn't mean that we didn't get to interact with the clinician, or we had to overrule the clinician. In fact, it wasn't about that at all. It was about being able to understand what the clinician was telling us. And it was about being able to be prepared for what the clinician is doing and have more insight into what was going on. So I think the patient experience, so these are 3 examples. One was the case of a stroke of a family member where ChatGPT was able to take the scan and explain the impact of the stroke. The other is another friend's case where the patient was advised of spinal surgery. And then chatbot, which took the history of the patient and prepared a summary before they could meet the orthopedic surgeon. And another case was another person known to me who was advised a hip, had gone through a revision surgery possibility, and by just putting the images in ChatGPT, it was fairly interesting in terms of how it explained the situation and whether a surgery was possible for this 86-year-old or not. What I'm trying to say here is that today's patient with AI is going to come highly empowered and is going to be much better prepared and could be much better. The presentation of the information with the summaries could be very powerful. And I think it's important for the clinicians to recognize the use of these commercial AI models when patients come to them and be prepared. The best explanation I heard from one of the doctors was, he's an oncologist, a medical oncologist, and he said, you know what I do? I actually sit with these reports which the patients have generated, and I walked them through it, and I said, you know, all this 80% is correct, but this part, you know, you really need to think about whether the model is, I mean, the output is really telling you what is advisable to you. And here is where I think, you know, I can advise you about certain aspects which are left open here. So what really happens when you do that and when you have that level of transparency and you're open to using AI, and open to, what I'm trying to emphasize here is open to the patient and their family using AI and your colleagues using AI, I think then you are able to create more trust. And this participatory trust that you can create would be the future, I feel, of healthcare, where you know, the entire team and the entire patient and their family work as a team to make improvements, decide on treatment plans, and improve healthcare outcomes overall, and improve the patient experience for everybody in the process. I really believe it's moving really fast, and it's very difficult for every one of us to keep up with these changes. Every day there's something new happening. And it's great that DoctorsAI is holding these seminars and workshops to make everybody come up to speed and use AI effectively in their practice. So that's all I have to say. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bharat Gera, for enlightening us on the human aspect of AI in medicine. So, in your experience, what are the core factors you think that build the clinician trust in AI tools, especially when you know, there is a discrepancy in the AI answer and a doctor's intuition? So, what do you think are the factors that will help the clinician to have more trust?
Yeah, I think I kind of answered that, you know, when you participatively, you know, and transparently acknowledge the AI outputs that are available to the patient, you create more trust. And you know, I don't think patients will question the authority of clinicians. I don't think they come from that point of view. What they look for is where doctors can really use AI effectively also. One is to, of course, understand the problem or do the diagnosis or prepare the treatment plans and get the best questions answered through AI. The other is also to be able to explain what is happening to the patient in a language that the patient understands. My favorite example of this is that if you tell a patient that you have fever of idiopathic, you know, origin, what does it mean to them? I think it's time that doctors start speaking in plain English, because the patient is going to go and read a plain English understanding, which basically says that it's unknown origin. I don't know what's happening there at the moment, right? So I think communication using AI tools could be a great help to doctors to create trust.
So, Mr. Gera, I think a fantastic viewpoint there. And I'm just going to add, you know, my contextual thinking from the time I started using AI in real time in my practice. You know, I literally have a computer where my LLMs are open. I discuss it. We put it up on them. We discuss it. We have a participatory way. I discuss this with my patient. And what I've learned over the last 2 years is that, yes, our patients are using language models to ask their medical queries, and rightly so, and everybody must. And I also feel that a patient that used to come to me in 2022 by searching up on Google, the Google without the language model, And a patient who's coming today by searching up on Gemini or a Chat GPT or whatever is available, I think this patient is much more smarter than that patient. And it's easier for me to explain the nuances of the treatment to this patient than that Dr. Google patient who was every time bringing me, doc, do I have a cancer? Do I have this? Do I have that? Because, like, it was not filtered. So I think that's the advantage of a language model. And I think the whole way we have, uh, taking in knowledge, and knowledge is everywhere now. And I mean, Annie just spoke about how we can have an open source model kind of being retrained and repurposed for the context of medical care. So now there's no dearth of knowledge. There's no absence of knowledge. We don't need to really go back and open textbook for knowledge. We can have an entire PubMed database fit into a language model and we can extrapolate from there. So I think with that available, it's the application which is going to be more and more important, and the way we apply it and the way we are extracting the information to it to reach to a conclusion. So both from both the sides of the table. So whether it's as a patient or whether it's as a doctor. But your viewpoints are excellent actually, and this is the kind of conversation that we really hope that it's going to take healthcare truly more patient centric, because that's what we should be. Decisions of starting a GLP-1 should not be because I am asking you to start. It's because you understand it and you give consent to start by understanding how it works. It can even be understanding the pharmacokinetics and the pharmacodynamics of the drug, and I'll be more than happy if my patient understands that. So I think
and there's another thing I wanted
Yes.
to point out that, I think there are cases in medicine where both the clinical team and the patient and everybody else doesn't know what's happening. It's a fact,
Absolutely.
right? We have situations like that. And to admit that and find a way to deal with these outliers using AI together is a very noble exercise, I would say, because it's not taking away anybody's authority or trust. It's actually saying, let's try and discover something together. I just went through a case which I heard recently where a 15-year-old girl was the gynecologist thought it was a pregnancy, teen pregnancy, and the family was shocked, and they, thought it was an ectopic pregnancy. It turned out that she had germline cancer after all these studies were done. It was a very rare case, but the family went through a trauma when the girl was accused of a teen pregnancy. I'm saying a lot of times we don't know what's happening, and we've seen many cases in women's health, especially. I've seen many cases where people don't know what's happening at all. And if all of us decide that let's explore this together using whatever AI tools are available between us, that would be a very noble exercise, I feel. Sorry, interrupted you on that one.
Absolutely not. I think we just went. You just followed up into what I was just contextualizing, and I think it's rightly put. But at the same time, looking at the other side, and this goes, of course, I don't know if Annie is still there. If she's still listening to us, if she's there, then I would love to have her points come in, because I mean, I'm so happy that we had these two topics covering. This both the sides of the spectrum, where we look at doctors using responsibly, we look at patients and end users use it responsibly. Question is, how do we use it responsibly? When you give a lot of powers, both I would say to a doctor or to a patient, there's definitely going to be a lot of misuse happening from either segments. What are your thoughts? And this is a question to both of you.
Please go ahead, Dr. Gera.
I'd love to hear your views first, Annie. I think.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a very difficult question, which is why both of us are avoiding it, right? So, but it really doesn't have an answer that's any different from anything else. Like, and why that sounds like a silly, it shouldn't sound so silly. If we get wrong information from a Google search, who is going to be responsible? It's going to be the doctor. It's not going to be the Google search. It's going to be the doctor on their responsibility to treat the patient in the best way they possibly can. And this will not change just because we get our information from a different source. To use AI responsibly is to use it with that vigilance in mind. and to make sure that you are vigilant about how these models perform and where they have their weaknesses, so that we can use our own probabilistic determination about the likelihood of information being wrong. If I know that a certain model is 99% accurate, then I'm going to be more comfortable when I'm double checking something. I go, oh, was that dosage 20 or 200? I know it's one of the two. And then I cross check it and I go, it's 20. I go, oh, well, I'm erring on the side. Okay, that's good. I can go with that. So I'm going to make a decision on that. It's about being vigilant, and it's about knowing the limits of the models that you are using. And it's about knowing how to prompt them to make sure that the answers that you're getting fit into that probabilistic category of information. So I really think it's about knowing we are responsible, is using AI responsibly, and knowing how it works and contributing to that. It's our responsibility to evaluate these tools and to make them available as a public good. And until we recognize our responsibility to be responsible, our responsibility to make this kind of information available to the public, that is what medicine is. And how dare we bottleneck it by keeping it in our own brains? And so we must make this available to patients so that they can have access to mostly right information. And we can make sure that we have access to better information quicker in a language that we are speaking as well. So yeah, I hope that we recognize our responsibility to contribute, participate.
Yeah, if I heard your question rightly, I think what you were probably saying is, what about rogue usage of AI? I think it's very much possible. It's a fear I have, very deep fear, that it could be used to quacks behaving as if they're experts. That's very likely in countries, in certain parts of India. It's very, very likely to happen, because it'll be a very convincing quack if he's powered by AI, he or she is powered by AI. And that's going to be a very dangerous trend, I see. I'm already seeing that in mental health. A lot of people who have no right to be in mental health are so-called healers, and that's completely wrong. The other thing is that also it can, because AI or throws up so much knowledge, and it gives you so many possibilities. I think one thing that is going to happen also is over-prescription, over-investigation. You have the potential to do it because you can always say, these are things further that could be investigated. And that's where they would justify it by saying, this is what this tool is telling me, So I think rogue users of AI are dangerous. And that's one aspect. The other aspect is that if somebody poisons the models, and if it is being used at this scale where 40 million people are using it and 50 million people are using it, and somebody deliberately, as a rogue actor from another state or whatever, poisons the AI, and it gives very wrong information to millions of people, and they take the wrong medicine. And people are going to use AI without doctors. In a country like India, it's just going to happen. They're going to just go to pharmacists and say, just give me this medicine. We don't have controls over distribution of medicine. So these things are very dangerous, and we have to have some controls, I believe, on how AI is used. It should be auditable in some way.
I'm always, Annie, go ahead.
We lost her?
Yeah, I think we'll give 10 seconds.
So, while she comes back, I was just thinking that when you have 600 and 500 billion parameters, to just augment your intelligence, and why not use it? But then that needs to be used in a responsible way. And I think this definition is something which is going to be very individualized definition. Just the way we have evolved in what's right and what's wrong, we'll probably know how to use AI in the right way and not use it in the wrong way. I think that's how individually we will be taking those decisions, whether it's a doctor or it's anybody else. I think Annie is back. You're making a comment, Annie. Go on.
Yeah, I was really interested in the way that the previous answer was answered, and I completely agree, 100%, of course. And I just wanted to make a controversial question to the to the DoctorsAI community. If a quack is practicing on their own, okay, and if a quack is practicing with the help of AI, which quack is going to give better information? And that's the controversial question. And so to stop people using quacks? No. Will it improve care? Maybe, right? Maybe not. But I think it's important that we, as a question to ask. We have a big problem with that in South Africa as well. But I think it's an important question to ask. Yeah, I just want to do.
We'll definitely put this out on poll for the DoctorsAI community for sure, and we'll get that back to you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. This was such an enriching session. We are a little bit beyond time, but nobody's complaining. Yeah, like such an important session to start the year with, and such good thoughts and some questions that we are left with, which give us a nudge to think more deeper into the conversations of like AI and how to use it properly and judiciously. I would really like to, Dr. Amit sir, if you would like to give some closing remarks.
I think we have set the context beautifully how this year should be going. A very important message goes out to the community that you're just not going to be using AI, but you're going to be using it. You're going to be participating in how it should be used. That's a very important thing. For doctors, of course, for all our colleagues, most of us are using it. All of us, I think everybody in the DoctorsAI community, we are using it. We need to start defining how to use it in a responsible way. Our patients will be using it, as rightly pointed out so by Mr. Gera, that they must be using it. And we also need to make sure that they are using it responsibly, or at least, the message goes loud and clear that we are not against the fact that you're using it. Rather, let's take participatory decisions. Let's discuss over, with the help of these millions and billions of parameters, augmenting our intelligence together. So I think it's a great start. It's a great context. Once again, a big congratulations for Annie to bring this to India and take this entire move Validathon across in different parts of the country. Quick reminder to all our members, the ICIM members, that all of you are connected with us on emails. If you're a member with us, you've been you have received about 3 mails by now to select which city you want to be attending. I think there's 2 more events left for them in Bangalore and Hyderabad. And maybe you could just nominate yourself where you want to be there. And I'm sure Annie will be waiting to meet you all and interact with you all out there. Thank you so much, Mr. Gera. And of course, I think this also opens up, more discussions, Mr. Gera, on how doctors and patients and the allied healthcare fraternity should be looking at AI together. And I'm sure we'll have more such dialogues, together going forward. Thank you to both of you for attending today. Closing comments, Aishwarya, from your side.
So at DoctorsAI, we conduct one MedAI Web Hour every second Thursday. So I would also like to announce that we'll come back next month with more such discussions. Thank you so much, Dr. Annie and Mr. Bharat Gera, sir, for taking time out and discussing such important topics with us. And of course, Dr. Amit sir, thank you so much for chairing the conversation. We also have Update Hour next Thursday, which is the 3rd Thursday of the month, and a journal club on the 4th Thursday of the month. I thank you so much. And yeah, I think I declare the session done, and we can close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was great interacting with you, Dr.
Thank you.
Annie.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Amit, Dr. Aishwarya.
Thank
It
you.
was lovely meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Mr. Gera. Thank you, Aishwarya, Hetvi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.